Welcome to the Real Estate Freedom Podcast, where we are teaching people how to obtain freedom through real estate. And today I have a very special client, very special friend, Mr. Jeremy Taylor of Taylor Family Properties. Hello, Jeremy. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Mary. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yes. Yes. Thank you for coming. I sure appreciate you being here.
Oh, no problem.
So, we've known each other for a while, but the world didn't know you. So introduce yourself, tell them about your company, and also tell them about your real estate portfolio, what it's made of and what's the worth.
Well, my name is Jeremy Taylor, owner and CEO of Taylor Family Property. Me and my wife, Chanel, we're both part owners. We've been in Shreveport since 2012. We started investing back in 2016. We met Marion in 2017, the year after we started investing. And we kind of took off from there. We've gained a massive portfolio since that 2016 year here in Shreveport. We're almost at 100 units, about a $7 or $8 million portfolio. And, cash flow is looking pretty good, and we're doing pretty well for ourselves.
He is being very modest. He's saying it's looking pretty good. You're doing pretty well for yourself. But tell the people, so you say you're at about 100. So how many actual units do you have?
Well, we're at 85. We have a 19-unit apartment complex under contract.
Oh, awesome.
So that'll put us, over the 100 or whatever mark. But, I'm a different type of investor.
I know.
And so we invest, we invest in a certain area. We try to gentrify and turn around the area.
Okay.
Gentrification is not always a bad thing. It can definitely be a good thing if you're on the right side of the table.
Right.
And so the 85 units that we currently have, we've bought within blocks of each other. We actually own maybe 5, streets total.
Right.
Every house on the street.
Right.
We own almost, 5 blocks or whatever. But we invest a certain way. In the 85 units, they came over time. And just last year, we bought, 44?
44. So in the middle of a pandemic, you bought 44.
We bought 44 units.
Okay. Wow. So we're definitely going to get into that, because tell them how old you are.
I'm 33.
33.
And my wife is 31.
Wow. And so basically y'all are retired.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Y'all are really retired, because what does Chanel do?
My wife is a nurse.
Okay.
She graduated nursing from Northwestern.
Okay.
But, if she go back, cool.
If she don't, that's fine.
Even better.
Exactly. And so that is awesome. So basically retired in your 30s, living the dream, but we're going to deep dive into your deals, how you came to get here, just some of your background.
Right.
So what year did y'all start investing?
Well, I've always been a hustler, let me say that.
Right.
But we actually started really investing in 2015, 2016. I had a trucking company.
Okay.
And the weird thing is one day, I came home. I was driving Chanel's car. She had it for maybe 14 days, maybe 2 weeks. And I was coming up, Pines Road, and got into a car accident.
Oh.
Ooh.
I know. 14 days old.
And I negotiated the insurance settlement.
Okay.
And that bag dropped.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so when that bag dropped in 2016, I took every penny that I had from that deal, and I took it and I said, hey, man, I'm going to go risk it all in real estate. Well, at the time, I thought it was a risk.
Right.
Not understanding that it was all reward.
Okay.
And so in 2016, we started from a wreck, when we got an insurance claim check. And so from there, we took off. In 2017, we were slow. We were learning. But we hit the ground running, and, we bumped into you.
Yeah.
I think when we first met you, we may have had 8 units, maybe.
8. I think it was like 6 or 8 units.
6 or 8 units. And matter of fact, it was 7 units. properties.
Okay.
We had 2 triplex properties and 1 single family.
Okay. Yes.
And we asked you to help us get that triplex on the same street that we now, one of the same streets that we now own.
Right.
Up the whole street.
Yeah.
And so at that time, we didn't know anything about, the deals and how we do the deals now. As far as the, financing, went. We just knew that we want to, scale up.
Okay.
And so the more me and you talked, the more we grew.
Right.
And, your energy matched my energy. Like we was in it. We didn't mind going into houses.
Right.
So, hey, Marion, where you at? We got a house we need to look at.
I'll pull up and we'll be in some houses that, it looked like some things lived inside of, some things that you ain't want to disturb, like rats, some roaches, and some crackheads. But before we get to that part, before we get to the investing, who was Jeremy and Chanel before all of this? Like, before this happened, like, what got you to the place where you were like, you know what, I'm going to take this bag and I'm going to put it in real estate? What got you there? Like, tell me about you growing up.
Well, I'm a kid from I'm a man from Monroe. I grew up in a family of 8. I'm next to the baby. I was the first, man within my grandma's lineage, to actually graduate college.
Oh wow!
And so it was different. People, felt like, hey, Jeremy, you're a success. Well, I'm not going to say I wasn't a success, but I knew it was more. I did a lot in college. I was a butthole. I was one that liked to fight a lot. I was a real darky at the time.
Why do you say that? Like, why do you think you were so angry and wanted to fight all the time?
I was. That's kind of how I grew up. We grew up fighting, and we go to the other side. It didn't matter, if it was tension, we pull up.
Right.
We embraced craziness. We embraced ignorance and, stupidity. And so now, I knew that someday I wanted to get away from that. And so I got this thing called a dollar and a degree. Like I said, I grew up, family of 8, Monroe, small town. And I went off to college, and I graduated college in debt, not understanding that, hey, this debt is going to cost me a whole lot more, and it could be bad.
Right.
So I came to Shreveport in 2012, and I came to Shreveport literally broke. I came to Shreveport with $1 and a degree. It was September 5th, 2012. I had $1, literally $1.
Wow. I
was broke. And so one day my aunt said, hey, Jeremy, maybe you should go apply for to be a substitute. I said, okay, that's cool. Let me go back a little bit. Before she told me to apply to be a substitute, I was turned down by, I wasn't turned down by the U.S. Marshal, but they ended up having a federal freeze.
Oh, okay.
That was one of the reasons why I came. Another reason, something else I went for was Cattle Parish Sheriff. I was actually growing my dreads at the time, and they made me cut my dreads for nothing.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't even get the job. But on top of that, even Shreveport PD didn't want to hire me because I had a misdemeanor at the time.
Oh, wow.
So both those police departments, didn't want anything to do with me. And it was a guy at the school board. He was a Gremlin-ite. I'm a Gremlin graduate. He's a Gremlin graduate. And he looked at me and said, hey, man, I'll give you a chance. Wow. And he gave me a chance, and he started me out with $75 a day. $75 a day. I was making $1,500 every 2 weeks. $775 every 2 weeks, I'm sorry. $1,500 a month.
Oh, wow.
And that was tough.
Yeah.
That was tough. Coming from, the lifestyle I was kind of accustomed to, because I did some things in my day, but I don't let that make me.
Right.
And so, my wife gave me the ultimatum one day and said, hey, you can either do these things or, you can take me and your son. And so I had to decide at that moment, like, hey, look, my wife and my son is more important. So my dollar and a degree story consists of Mr. White giving me a chance at Cattle Parish School Board, where I met a guy named Marvin Alexander who gave me a chance to be a permanent sub at Green Oaks Performing Arts. Okay. And it's crazy that I didn't stop at that point. I worked hard. I was working at Coca-Cola. I was a merchandiser while being a teacher. And I was also a mental health counselor while being a teacher.
Wow.
And I also refereed games.
Oh, so you had like 4 jobs.
I had 4 jobs.
Oh, wow.
But I never could match what my wife was making. My wife's a nurse.
Yeah.
And so, with those 4 jobs, I never made what she was making. And I had this thing that I would say, I would be like, hey, this can't be life. Mm-hmm. And it was nothing, competitive.
Right.
Toward my spouse, but it was a situation where, okay, if I match her energy and what she's doing, I'm working hard, but it's like I'm getting nowhere fast.
Right.
So if I can find something, an actual investment and not a hustle to match what she's doing, we'll be we'll be great people. And so I started off in landscaping. I was cleaning roofs, gutters, pressure washing, and then I got into a trucking company. I was trying to rent mopeds. I was, I had my hands dipped in a little bit of everything.
Right.
And so one day I just said, hey, man, this can't be life. And so I overheard Sergeant Moore, Mac Moore over at Green Oaks, and he said something about adjudication, about cheap property. Mm-hmm. And I said, man, I'm going to go home and Google it. Well, I had $300 from a paycheck. I had to give Chanel my half for the bills.
Right.
Out of that $775. And so I had $300, and I said, baby, I heard about this program called adjudication, and I'm going to go downtown, and I'm going to apply for, a property.
Right.
And I went and I applied. And she told me before I applied, hey, Jeremy, you might need that money. Don't do it. Don't get your money caught up. I said, what's the worst that can happen? Mm-hmm. I'm a gambler.
Right.
And so when I applied, she couldn't believe that it was people in there getting properties for $1. Yeah. So I said, well, baby, I want to be in that number. Unfortunately, I didn't get my first adjudicated property for $1. I got it for $16,660. But
yeah,
it was well worth it.
Right.
And so being a permanent sub at the time, it was cool, but that's not something that I saw myself doing long term.
Right.
I couldn't pass the test. It wasn't that I'm not a good test taker, but I couldn't pass the test.
Right.
Working at Coca-Cola definitely was backbreaking and something that I didn't see myself doing. Hot shotting wasn't bad money, but I had to be at home every night with my wife and son. Mm-hmm. And so I had to do something different. And so when I looked at real estate, I said, this is going to be my key. This is going to be my way out. I'm going to make sure, this is how I succeed and how I make a way for my family.
Right.
So that dollar in the dream, man, the struggles is what, pushed me to get to this point.
That's awesome. I mean, I honestly, I've never heard that story before, ever. Because like I said, when we met, it was 2017 or 2018?
2017.
2017. And I remember walking into the facility because I know y'all were doing, I think, the mental health counseling mm-hmm. at the time. And so when I walked in and I met you guys, I was just like, it was unbelievable because y'all were so young. Mm-hmm. And I was like, they're doing a lot and they are just so young, but I could tell y'all were very focused. Right. And now it makes more sense why y'all were focused because y'all had been through all of that already.
Oh yeah.
And so y'all were like determined that this was gonna work. It was like nothing else. You had burned the bridges. You could tell that this is it. This was gonna work or nothing else.
I forgot about the mental health agency.
Yeah.
We actually, that broke me down to the point where I had to stop.
Oh.
I had to stop and really evaluate life. The mental health situation, Marion, we had just flipped a house. We did our first flip. I'll never forget. We bought Lister Street. The bank gave us that 80% loan to value. We'll get into the deals.
Yeah.
But we took some cash and we didn't even take any cash. The bank saw what we did with the that deal and how we managed the money, and they funded a flip for us 100%. Mm-hmm. And so we pretty much just managed the deal. And we ended up purchasing the property, and we were successful with the flip. We made a nice penny. And I had never seen a $20,000 check before in my life. Mm-hmm. So I was like, what? And I ain't got to pay this back?
Right.
Bet. So again, I'm a gambler. I was a mental health agent. I was a mental health counselor. Mm-hmm. And I knew I said I wanted to start my own business. And the mental health agency is something that I just dove into. And I took that $20,000 that we had and I risked it all. That was an actual risk.
Yeah.
And so, no one gave me anything in that. No one. Everything cost.
Right.
And it cost me that $20,000 plus, everything that we actually had. And so at the time, the mental health situation, those networks had closed. So we wasn't able to get into network. And it was costing us $1,100 a month to rent that space that you walked into.
Oh, wow.
Not to mention that, we had to pay someone just to sit there just in case someone came.
Oh, wow.
We had to pay, I think it was like $4,000 or $5,000 for software that we didn't use. And if you're talking about bringing the building up, bringing that space up to code,
yeah,
you're talking about another maybe, $8,000 to $10,000.
Oh, wow.
That's paying carpentry and different things of that nature. And so we were well over our $20,000 deal. Mm-hmm. And so I had never been so broke in my life to the point where I had to actually feed my family off of a credit card. I had a $2,500 Best Buy card. Mm-hmm. And we would get gift cards from Best Buy, IHOP, Wendy's. We were eating real funky, but sometimes we ate real good. We eat Longhorn steaks.
Right.
We get a couple, right, off the gift card.
Right.
Because any money that we had coming in had to take care of bills.
Yeah.
Had to take care of the house. No enjoyment. Mm-hmm. And we sat at home and we hustled. And I had a friend to give me $1,000 one day. And we took and turned it into 10.
Oh, wow.
And I said it, because I've always been a hustler. My wife, Chanel, got into reselling. Mm-hmm. And that reselling point is one of the big reasons we're doing what we're doing now, because...
What's reselling?
Well, my wife got into thrift shopping and reselling. Okay. Thrift shopping and reselling is when you find product online at a discounted or clearance price. And you can take and you can resell it for more. Okay. And so, for example, we would find 65 and 75-inch TVs, and we would get them for almost 70 to 80%, clearance price. Oh, wow. And we would come back and sell them for maybe $100 to $200 less than what they would be listed for on the shelf.
Oh, wow.
Not everyone knew that.
Right.
So we sold maybe 55 TVs in that period. We sold Bluetooth subwoofers.
I might have to talk to you about a TV after this, but go ahead now.
Oh yeah. Okay. We killed that space, and we got so good at that space, Marion, and it kept us afloat.
Right.
And so we got so good at that space, we were able to carry that over to our real estate investing, and that's how we beautify our homes in a sense where most people they would spend a buckload of money versus us thrift shopping and putting things together, and we make it work.
Right.
And so that mental health agency, that moment, that was one of the most hardest moments in my life.
Well, I could, like I said, because I remember it was the banker. The banker called me and told me that you would be calling. Mm-hmm. And then you called. And then you kept calling. And you were calling. And I was like, man, I need to go and visit them or see them so they won't think I'm trying to ignore them or anything. Because I was just, busy just with a whole lot of work at that time. Mm-hmm. Because that was technically was my rookie year. Mm-hmm. So my rookie year, I had outsold most people in the region. I got awarded for outselling people. So I was like, man, I don't want them to think that I don't want to talk to them. It was so much going on at the time. But when I walked in, I could see that y'all were hungry and that this is all or nothing. It wasn't even a or situation. This was, how do we make this work? Mm-hmm. And tell us. And so I want to say truly, like, y'all were the first ones, because I'm very open about the whole process on how to real estate invest, how it would work for a particular person's life. And when I told y'all, it was like y'all just took it and run with it. Because you said we match energy. We do. However, you're more aggressive. And so you will go and find somebody who owns a property and go to the person's house. Right. You'll drive there. It don't matter what time of day it is. You're going to figure out who owns what and get there.
Got to knock on that door.
Right. And all I had to do is just kind of help you and give you the blueprint and just be like, well, this is how, if you can't get me, this is how you can go and find this stuff. And this is how you could make the deals work so you could continue to get cash out. And then even when bankers tell you always found another way, which was always amazing.
Do you remember Miss Linda?
Yeah, I do.
You remember how that situation went?
I do. We can talk about the situation a little bit if you want to. It's up to you.
It was a situation where you introduced me. Mm-hmm. And Miss Linda was on her way out.
Yes.
Sweet lady. I feel indebted to her.
She was so sweet, yes.
To an extent to where, if she ever needed anything, I'll even dance at her wedding.
I feel the same way. She was very awesome.
Marion, and you introduced me to Miss Linda. We were at that low point. We were just coming out of that financial situation with the mental health agency, and no one would touch us. And Miss Linda said before she retired, she was going to make sure that we got some form of revolving line of credit. And she gave us that $25,000. Mm-hmm. And it was, we made it work.
Oh, yeah. Y'all made it. Y'all made it all the way work. So, I mean, the ups and downs prepared you for that point, because you literally people will say this deal won't work. You will make it work.
Right.
There's nothing in you that says fail. Like if you buy a parking lot, you're going to be like, I'm going to fill this parking lot up by the end of the week. Right. It's just like, no way. So, I mean, fast forward to today. You were back then you were buying food on gift cards. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't that long ago. 2017 really wasn't that long ago at all. A few years ago. And now today, you have a portfolio of 85, about to be over 100.
Correct.
And you said the worth is about how much?
About $7 million.
About $7 million worth. Awesome. So tell me about your worst deal. Tell me about your worst deal in this.
My worst deal. My worst deal was actually one of my more recent deals. Mm-hmm. One of the worst deals we got was we bought 19 units. We bought 19 units because we bought it. Well, we bought 19 units because it was in the area that we actually we had just bought 44 units in. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, not 44, 27 units in. So last year we purchased 27 units. Mm-hmm. And I had my eye on those 19 units, and I said if they ever came up, I would buy them. And I bought it off emotion. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of one of the, bad things to do.
Right.
Going to go spend $290,000 on emotion ain't no good thing. Actually, it was $300.
Oh wow.
Spending $300,000 on emotions is not a good thing to do in this game. You don't want to buy it just because you want to make it make sense.
Right.
And I'm not going to say it was a bad deal. Well, it was a horrible deal, but it wasn't good at the time.
Right.
Should I have waited? Yes. Could I have waited? No. Mm-hmm. I couldn't wait because I wanted it, and I said, this is my time to capitalize. But now that I look back, I would say, hey, Jeremy, if somebody else would have bought it, so be it.
Fine.
Yeah, so be it. Because at the end of the day, you put your back against the wall when it comes time to speaking to a banker. Mm-hmm. And they're looking at, vacancies, and they're looking at different things of that. Like, a lot comes into it.
Okay.
And so when a bank sees this,
mm-hmm.
and this financial statement on this package deal doesn't make sense, well, the bank is going to want to see you hold that property for 6 months. Mm-hmm. And they want to see it change. And if you can't be the change, then they're going to say you're failing just like the portfolio was failing when you actually brought it to us. So, no, we're not touching it.
Okay, well, let's run some quick numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So, quick numbers on this deal that is not the best deal. Mm-hmm. How much did you purchase it for?
We purchased it for $200,000. On paper, we purchased it for $290,000. I paid the seller $10,000 cash, just to do the deal.
To do the deal. So, was it like an option, or the $10,000 was like a, what do you call it, like option money, or like a deposit, hold the contract?
No, the $10,000 stayed with him.
Okay.
Oh, so, yeah, $10,000 stayed with him.
It just stays with him because why did you do that part?
Well, it looked better on paper.
Okay.
For me to buy it from him for $290,000
than $300,000.
Than $300,000.
Okay.
You'd be surprised what that $10,000 difference on paper looked like.
Right.
Versus, me actually
getting it for the $290,000.
Getting it for the $290,000.
Okay, so 10 to him, $290,000 on paper. And how much money did you have to put in it?
We actually haven't even started the renovations yet.
Okay.
We haven't started the renovations because banks want to see that portfolio perform.
Right.
And so we purchased it for $290,000.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we know that the property value is right at maybe $1.7 million.
Right.
But before a bank will lend you that 80% loan to value, those numbers are so in the negative. We're so in the negative. Mm-hmm. We had to go in and clean up so much.
Okay.
We had to go in and actually split gas bills.
Okay.
We had to actually make tenants pay their own gas bill. Mm-hmm. We're actually in a situation where we're making all tenants pay like on time, or you're being charged late fees.
Right.
We do our own landscaping. Mm-hmm. We don't have a property management company. Okay. And the property management company was raping the investor.
Yeah.
In the sense where they wasn't seeing any money because they was charged. The upcharge on the maintenance. Was crazy.
Right.
And so we don't have a property management company. We manage our own. Mm-hmm. So that 30% is already, giving us a foot up in the game.
Right.
So if you take property management, if you're talking about landscaping, if you're talking about actually holding tenants accountable and making them actually pay, well, we're in the green.
Right.
And we've had that property since August.
Okay.
And so, coming in the upcoming year, well, our bank is, going to refi the deal and do the deal. But as far as us having the same luxury status that the street over has, it's not there yet.
Right.
And so, again, if I go back, I'll say, hey, I know that deal is not going to sell for what he's asking for it.
Right.
Because I know the numbers in my area. And what he was asking for, what I paid for it, I honestly felt like I could have got it for less.
Right.
But this is what he actually owed.
Oh, okay.
So the $290 is what he actually owed.
Okay.
And the 10 is what he wanted to make off of it.
Oh, I see.
So I wasn't thirsty for the deal, but I was emotionally tied to it.
Right.
And if I can go back, I wouldn't have gave him that 10. I would have just said, hey, you're drowning.
Right.
So if you want me to throw you this life jacket, you're going to give it to me for this $290, and you're going to walk.
Right.
Which is how I usually negotiate. But, again, I was emotionally tied to the deal.
Yeah. It's just, like you said, and it happens.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've definitely purchased some property I still have right now that it was just emotional. It's strict. What my uncle calls it, what does he say? I'm being sentimental.
Sentimental.
And so it was sentimental for me, like the home that we grew up in Queensboro. Now, this home is not the best home at all. Matter of fact, I thought it was a slab home until recently when I had a contract to go out there and they told me it was a pier and beam. They just had the cinder blocks around it to make it look like a slab. And so half of the house is sitting on an actual slab. The other half is a pier and beam. So even if they try to jack it up, it's going to bend and break in the middle.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
And so it's really nothing. And I paid my mother, she was leasing it back from the guy and ended up paying him like $60,000 or $70,000 just in the lease over the years. And then I turned around and agreed and bought it for $45,000. And so even with the interest rate that they gave me at the time, because my credit was just jacked at the time, but they were just doing it. The bank was doing it out of kindness, like the relationships we're talking about.
Right.
The interest rate is so high, I still owe $32,000 on it.
Oh, wow.
And if we sell it as is today, I wouldn't sell it for anything but $38,000. So that was absolutely a sentimental deal. I wouldn't. It's not a good deal on paper, but in my heart, it was a deal that I needed to do. Right. So now I know from evaluating it that I could tear the home down and then put multiple properties on it without having to go back to the zoning board because it's already zoned as a multi-property home.
Right.
And so I don't have to go through the MPC, the Metropolitan Planning Commission, to get any type of zoning. I'm just going to tear the home down and then build 4 new homes there and then make my money back. So although I know it seems like today the numbers don't add up and you did it out of your heart, I am a firm believer when you do stuff like that, you will still see the gain like a bigger gain, because I would have never thought that I could build like multifamily units on this lot that's almost an acre in the middle of Queensboro. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So
sometimes emotional deals, they're bad in the beginning, but could be some of the best, situations later on. And yeah, this was a bad deal because it was based off my emotions in the beginning. But what these units are going to give me, these 44 units,
right?
It's unmatchable.
Oh, right.
And I bought it for pennies. I bought each unit less than $16,000 a unit.
Right.
And so you picture buying each unit for less than $16,000, and when you finish renovating them, they're worth somewhere around $53,000, $55,000 a unit.
Right.
Where you only have to put in maybe $20,000, $25,000 a unit, if that.
Right.
Because you're getting a bulk deal.
Right.
And so, it's definitely some gems in it, and I don't look at the deals and say, oh, that was a horrible deal. I base my deals on numbers.
Right.
And so if the numbers make sense at the end of the day, it's okay with me.
Right.
But it's still, a time, and it's a time when you buy it and time when you say, okay, well, not right now.
Right.
And I'm gonna say never base your deal on emotions, but sometimes your emotions can get the best of you. So
right.
And it happened to all of us.
It happens to all of us.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so give me a quick rundown of your best deal. Like, what's the absolute best, the one that you'll never forget?
The first deal I ever did was the best deal.
Okay.
To me.
Right.
And it was because I didn't know.
Right.
So my ignorance made me a wealthy man.
Right.
And I'm a wealthy man, not a rich man. I'm for the long game. Exactly. It's a difference. So my first deal, I purchased a property for $16,690. That property appraised at the time for $90,000. Well, I didn't know what the hell was going on. I got my $16,660 back, and I'm in the clear from there.
Right.
Well, that same property that I bought in 2016 is now worth, almost $200,000 now.
Wow.
And I haven't put no more than $35,000 in it.
Wow.
And the rents were originally $300, $350. Well, those rents are now $700, $725.
Oh wow.
Right. And so that's a triplex. Well, I only owe maybe from that $76,000 that we originally borrowed from. I think I only owe maybe like $45,000.
Oh wow.
And the mortgage on that property was $400.
Right. So the tenant's paying it many times over.
Hands over fist.
Right.
I'm bringing in $1,900 a month on that property.
Oh wow.
Well, $1,950, $700 for the front, $550 for the back garage apartment.
Right.
So if my mortgage is only $400 and my insurance on that property literally is like, I think it was like $65, and the taxes on it a year is like $1,000.
Right.
So if you doing those numbers, monthly, my monthly overhead is only like, it's no more than $500, $600.
Right.
So I'm bringing in literally $1,300 a month.
Right.
And so that's a deal that I will never, ever forget. Even though I bought those 27 units
Oh yeah.
on that one street.
It's nothing like your first deal.
Nothing like that first deal.
It's nothing like that first deal and getting that first check.
Oh.
Like for us, we got that first deal. The first deal was like, I bought it for $4,500. We put our own money in it because we didn't know what we were doing. We just did what we thought we needed to do.
Right.
And so we were using our own money until we tapped out, took it to the bank. The bank said, okay, you've rehabbed it to a point to where it's worth about $45,000, I think. And they end up giving us a check. And we were like, so we don't have to pay anything down or nothing like that. They was like, nope. So it was like a check for like, $38,000. So we were able to recoup our money back, finish the house out, then turn around and sell the house for $88,000. And so, like you said, just getting that first check was like crazy.
It was a hell of a drug.
It is a hell of a drug, and you just won't be able to stop at all. So
I'm high.
Just high off of it.
I stay high.
Man, it's nothing like it. It's the best thing ever. And like you said, you start off as a hustler. I was too. And so just to see this legal hustle and it's providing like a service for people.
Oh, yeah.
And then you don't have to worry about like going nowhere, like being locked up for nothing. And you can be there for your family. Like it's the best thing ever. So yes, I get it. We could talk about it all day long.
Passive income.
Passive income is the best thing ever. Okay, so because we could talk about this all day long.
All day.
Man, because it's the best thing ever. Like real estate freedom for real is like
no other.
It's like no other. I know we're going to have this big conference in March 18th, 19th, and 20th. And you'll be there speaking with a couple of other people that you helped bring up as well. Because y'all are doing real big things out of Monroe. Like I've always admired your friends and how y'all all like help each other and not hold information back. Like it's just like, it's so awesome. And just talk a little bit about that synergy that y'all have and what does that do for the city of Monroe to see y'all like that?
That makes us better. Every day we, me and my brother Lamont, we on the phone bouncing ideas off the wall. Me and my brother Emmanuel, we bouncing ideas off of each other. Derek, we bounce ideas off of each other. And we have this group called the Real Estate Kings. And basically it's, 4 or 5 guys from Monroe, and we got together, man, and we started something. Lamont and I, we first got into it together, and then Derek and Emmanuel, they came in. But those guys quickly adapted to what we were telling them and what we were giving them. And what we provide for our community back home, what we provide for the community here in Shreveport, the service that we render, like you said, is like no other, and it's a high,
Right.
and the more we talk, the smarter we get,
Right.
because we don't know it all, and we always tell people it's no right or wrong way.
Right.
You're gonna do it your way, they're gonna do it their way, but we can take something from their way, and we can take something from your way. And so we both taking it from someone's point of view, and we implementing in what we do, it helps us grow.
Right.
And so we're better daily by discussing it daily, by posting something on social media. Someone is going to hit back and say, hey, how did you do this? It gives me a chance to elaborate on it.
Right.
And when I talk about it, it makes me, go harder, makes me
Right.
move more.
Right.
And so I'm a big fan of writing goals down. And so if someone has did something over here and I like it and I feel like I can achieve it,
Right.
well, I'll write that goal down. I'll write that goal down and I'm going to go get it,
Right.
because I'm going to talk my way or talk myself and put myself on the path to accomplishing whatever it is that I set out to do.
And that's awesome. And like I said, I've always admired that about you. And like the teamwork that you and Chanel have is like awesome. And then y'all's friends, how y'all just bring everybody along on the journey with y'all. And that is like the most beautiful thing. So I'm excited about the Real Estate Freedom Conference we're going to have March the 18th, 19th, and 20th here in Shreveport. And y'all are going to be the feature for Sunday brunch. So it's going to be, the Real Estate Kings. Because I don't think a lot of, especially here in this area, we don't have a lot of vocal examples of success, especially in real estate from Black men.
Right.
So I think that's very, very important to see.
Yeah.
Then also Black men working with their spouses to achieve this goal together. It's it's a big family business.
I think that's what make the Real Estate Kings or us, as a group, move better.
Right.
Our spouses, well, my brother and I, because we're the only two that's married, but
Right.
Derek and Emmanuel, at some point, they were, with women.
Right.
And so Lamont and I, our spouses, they boots on the ground.
Right.
And Chanel and I, Chanel takes care of this, and I take care of this.
Right.
And I'm in my lane, and she's in her lane. And we're going to run our race together, and we're going to be at that meeting point at some point.
Right.
And so, same way with Lamont and Alicia. Lamont, he takes care of this. Alicia, she takes care of this. And that makes them great.
Right.
Derek and Emmanuel, they're business partners. So Derek is the brains. He's the smart guy.
Yeah.
Emmanuel, he's the aggressor like myself.
Yeah.
Hey, Derek, we need to get it. And so those guys, they form a partnership that balances them out. And it's all about balance.
It is.
It's definitely about balance. And so we have a circle that, balances each other. And we bounce the deals, we bounce ideals, we bounce situations, we bounce scenarios every day.
Right.
We're talking about something.
Man, it's awesome, and you can tell. So I'm excited about it. I'm always excited to work with you guys.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, we could talk about this all day long. But if people want to follow you and kind of follow y'all's journey, where can they find you on Instagram?
You can find me on Instagram at JTMoney07. On Facebook, you can find me at just Jeremy Taylor.
Okay.
Follow my hashtag also. We just want closure.
Right.
It's definitely it's
that y'all trademarked.
Oh yeah, we definitely trademarked it. We own it.
Awesome.
So if you go try to get it,
we just want closure. They actually own it. It's trademarked. That's beautiful.
And we just want closure. It's not just for real estate,
right?
But it's for whatever it is you're trying to do in life. The best way to go home and sleep at night is to gain closure in whatever it is that you're doing.
That's right.
Whether you in a relationship, you want closure. Marriage, you want closure.
Right.
Doing a deal, you want closure. Getting a job, you want closure.
Right.
In any situation, you want closure. and to bring closure. It helps you feel better. It makes you move a certain way. Like
Right.
you move with that certainty.
Right.
So get that closure, man.
Yeah. And no loose ends.
No
So,
loose ends.
Man, look, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming and doing this. This is so awesome. So
I appreciate it.
man, we got more things to do in real estate, but until next time, we just appreciate you guys doing what y'all do and continue to do it.
I appreciate your help, Mary.
Oh,
and all
yes.
that you do.
I know, like I said, we can get into it, but we'll get into it on another time. Maybe we'll do some type of webinar where we kind of explain the numbers a little bit more, explain to everybody how you actually got the bank to agree when you didn't have the credit and didn't have the resources, the importance of relationships. So maybe that'll be a webinar we'll do so we can get deeper into the numbers that way.
Maybe, and I tell you what, let's set that up. That's what we'll talk about.
Okay.
Instead of going back into the history.
Right.
We'll focus our energy because the people definitely need to know about that.
Oh, yeah. They definitely need to know that it's important to get those relationships because just because one says no means absolutely nothing.
Like my brother told me today, the more hands you shake, the more money you make.
Right. Absolutely. No better way to end it. So until next time, y'all go and get some real estate freedom, and we'll see y'all later.